Now, I asked Forrest, did this happen? And Forrest said, all right, everyone, how are you all doing? Welcome along back to the channel. My name is Cookie, and today I am in Africa. Thylacine information has come across, and we need to talk about it because I think it's really, really interesting and a little bit weird. So for your information, this is Kruger National Park, and we've seen hippos. There's a jacana currently flying. We've seen hippos, we've seen crocodiles, there's giraffes on the other side. Mental place. There's going to be loads more videos coming of that sort of stuff, so stick around. For now though, we are going to be talking about some recent thylacine news and some interesting stuff, something that made me turn my head anyway. I'm going to overlay it on the screen right now. This has been what's happened. These photos have come to light. They were sent to Forrest Galante, and it was from an external person. So someone got in contact with Forrest and said, my mate's taken some photos of this interesting thing in Tasmania, can you have a look? So he's had a look, and it looks suspiciously like a thylacine, a Tasmanian tiger. And obviously Forrest wanted to follow this up, so he got in contact with this kid, did an interview, it's on YouTube, and now a frenzy. And it's very, very interesting. So when I just looked at the photos and the photos only, I'm not gonna lie, I got excited. Now, there's only a few that I got excited for. There's a few others that I was a bit like, okay, take it or leave it. But there's a couple where I'm thinking, all right, these look really good. Now, this happens a lot. I get sent sightings a lot. I get sent sightings of big cats in the UK all of the time. And I get the occasional thylacine stuff come through as well. Very similar to Forrest, but just not on the same scale, right? All of it's rubbish. Pretty much 99% of it is rubbish. But when I saw these photos, I looked at it and thought, Jesus, like these are actually really quite good. Now, the reason being is because they look like they were taken on a phone at night time, zoomed in. Now, if you guys have got like an iPhone or something like that, like an iPhone 11 or an iPhone 10, whatever, my previous was an iPhone 11. If you filmed at night with a little bit of a light and you zoomed in, you know the quality was absolutely terrible, and it's very similar stuff from what we can see in these photos. So as you're looking at them, there's a picture here of like a thylacine looking like startled towards the camera with a bit of eye shine and like a little background with like green grass. It looks like a photo zoomed in. Then you've got like the stripes, just the back end of it. You've got one lying down weirdly, and then one with its mouth wide open as well. And then another one, it's almost like smiling towards the camera, like the most clear sort of shot, I suppose, of what is supposedly a thylacine. Now, if you were to show me these photos without any context, without any story behind it, I can't really pick them apart. I can't really pull them apart and say, oh yeah, that's definitely fake, or oh yeah, that's not real for X, Y, Z reasons, or whatever. I actually look at those and I think, okay, step one, the photos look pretty good, and that doesn't happen very often. It's not very often we get past step one. Now, whatever you think of the photos, we'll get onto that in a little bit. When it comes to this sort of stuff and you're trying to like go through a sighting of something, usually for me it's big cats in the UK, right? Usually when you go through these things, step one, does it pass the photo test, right? If you get past that stage, step two is talking to the person or people that have allegedly taken these photos or videos, right? And in this case, it's photos. And this, for me, is where all of this thylacine stuff, it all falls down. And I think it's just been ruined, to be honest. So Forrest has interviewed the guy. He wants his face covered up. And I'll leave a link in the description for you to go and watch the full thing if you haven't done already. But the story he tells is just, he's not a believable guy. And he says a lot of weird stuff. He says a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense. He says he flew direct from Chicago to Hobart, and that route's not possible. It's just, there's a lot of weird things that don't add up, and there's a lot of red flags in what he's saying. And I think that's always a big problem, because looking at the photos, they give you a sort of an interesting look, like, oh, this looks good. If you add him into it, immediately it's not good, and it's a massive red flag. Now, in Forrest's video, which by the way was really good, really interesting, I loved it, after that I messaged Forrest, and I said, like, really cool video, well done, has there been an update? Because at the end of Forrest's video, he did ask this guy to send him the original photos that he took, because the photos he's got were from his friend that he had screenshot and sent over, allegedly. So Forrest asked him, can you send over these photos? Now, I asked Forrest, did this happen? After this interview, which took place on like the 28th of April, did this happen? Did he send them over? And Forrest said no. There's been no update on that so far. And again, red flag. Absolute, the reddest of red flags. That to me is a proper no. Like, that's not good. Now, the reason for that is because photos hold metadata, and if what he's saying is true, you would be able to verify it somewhat by the metadata, so the geotag of where these photos were taken, the time they were taken, in the order of what they were taken. You would be able to see it, right? So for him to not send the originals, red flag. And I know everyone's been asking for an update on that, and I thought I'd provide that for you in this video. There is no update. He hasn't sent them, so again, red flag. Now, another thing to add to this is on Twitter, which I don't actually have anymore on my phone. There's been a guy who's been creating like a posable model thylacine, like a 2-scale posable model thylacine, and he posted a load of photos on the same day that Forrest released his video. So the coincidence for that is insane, right? I don't know if there's a link there. I don't know if the guy who sent these photos to Forrest knows this person and took some photos. I don't know. I don't know anything about that, but it's a coincidence that he's posted this posable, really good looking model thylacine to Twitter, and then at the same day Forrest has come out with this video from this other people, right? Now, Forrest has been sat on this video for like 2 weeks. So he did the interview on April 28th. 2 weeks later the video comes out, right? So I don't know if there's any sort of weird relation there. It's all a bit strange. Now, another thing we could take into consideration, and I'm sure a load of you people will know about AI. AI in the thylacine, or like the cryptozoological world, could become absolute carnage. So you may have seen recently AI video. It's insane. Like, you can type in something and it will give you a video of that thing. It's incredible, right? I've used AI a little bit to try and create photos, and it's never really given me good animal stuff. But that's not to say it can't be done. Just looking at those photos, it doesn't look like it is AI. Now, I do know a guy who specializes in AI, specializes in CGI, so creating like images, and I actually sent him a message and said, with no context, I said, what do you think about these? Let me know, tell me what you think. And this is what he said.
If it is fake, it is a very good fake. A lot of work has gone into making it work well. If it's 3D, if it's a 3D digital work, then it's a lot of work going into that. You've got to have a good experience in your 3D programs. If it's a model, then it's a very good model. And not only that, it has to be a posable model. The thylacine moves its positions and leg things as across the different images, so it must mean that it not only is it like a stuffed model of some sort, but it's also opposable, so it would have some kind of wire armature which you could move around.
So he's a really interesting fella, and what he says I find interesting. So he doesn't think these photos are fakes. He doesn't see how it could be AI, but that's not to say it couldn't be a painting, or it couldn't be a movable model. You know, we had the Neil Waters saga. Congratulations everyone, we've done it a couple of years ago. I feel like this has gone to a whole new level, and it's really difficult to look at these photos and pick them apart. I know a lot of people, you've probably seen a lot of comments of people saying, oh, these are rubbish, this is the worst thing ever. I really don't think that's the case. As someone who gets images like this all the time from big cats and thylacines and this, that and the other, these are some of the best I've seen. And if this is a fake, it is the best fake by far. It is so good. Usually when fakes like this happen, they've sourced images from elsewhere. Like we've seen it with the thylacine before. Someone took an image, dragged it in, made a Photoshop out of it, but you could take that photo and overlay it with another old photo, right? That sort of stuff has happened before. This sort of stuff hasn't got source material, so it's been created. If it is fake, if it's a painting, someone's painted it, or like a digital drawing, for example, or if it's AI, it's completely made up and someone's worked really hard on it. The point is, if it's fake, it's really, really good. Now, I'm not saying it's real. I actually think it is fake, but based on what I can actually see in the photos, I can't really point out like, is this fake or not? My belief is it's fake because of the guy telling the story. He is a walking red flag. And again, go listen to the interview. I won't post it here, but go listen to the interview with Forrest, and you will understand what I'm talking about. He's a walking red flag, and I just don't think what he says is very good. So I want to give a shout out to a fella named Dylan, who's been in my Insta DMs about this, just trying to go through it and trying to like prove if it's real or not. And he has pointed to one photo with the supposed thylacine and its mouth open. If you zoom in, it hasn't got a nose. It's really weird. Like, it's got the end of a muzzle, but the actual like black tip of a nose isn't there. Whether that's like just an accident with the camera or not, I don't know. Whether that's like a fake model, it hasn't got a nose on it, I don't know, but it's all a bit weird. Now, if we go back to my AI CGI guy who I spoke to, he did actually make one observation with one photo with the thylacine with its mouth open. It's looking from left to right, it's got a bit of eye shine on it, but he thinks if this was fake, it would be someone who's got like a model sat still doing nothing, but in order to create the sort of like motion blur effect, they would have held it like this, and then as they pressed, they would have moved slightly, because he thinks if he looks at that photo, the motion blur is going all in one direction. And usually that happens if you sort of like try and go, if you press something on a little bit of an exposure and then turn. And that's what he thinks, but he's not sure. And even he, who's an expert in this sort of stuff, looked at these photos and was like, okay, these are really good, I don't know if this is fake or not. So I don't think we've got a conclusion out of this. I can't come here and go, yeah, debunked. I would love to, but I can't. What I will say though is, if I take all things into consideration, and if you're going to ask me, is this real or is this not real, I'm more over this side. On the basis of this guy, not good, red flag center. That's but the photos themselves, I actually think are really good. Some of them anyway. Some of them don't look so good, but some of them pretty good. Anyway, I think that's going to be it from me. There's a few weird coincidences, there's a few weird things that are happening. I don't really know if we're going to get to the bottom of it. Just for now, take it that I think this isn't real, and it's for that guy. I just don't think he's real. Anyway, it's created a load of controversy, drama, talking points. Let me know your talking points or opinions down in the comment section down below. But for now, I'm going to go off and have a safari, go look for some cool stuff, all right? And I'll see you in some Africa videos. Let me know your thoughts. Bizzle.